Welcome to No Dice, a supplementary program to the Dice with Death podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Bateman, and I'm joined by all-round dad, who's glad he's not sad about his wife and children dying because that would be a drag. He's the clerical bird person with no canonical last name. It's Aark!
Oh.
Hello. I don't know what to say to that. It's a beautiful introduction. I was worried that it was too close to real life at the start, and I was like, oh. But no, it's about the character, so that's absolutely fine.
I'm also joined by a super squiddy lover who now has no mother. It's forest druid, Zakaiya Rubbledusk.
I mean, it's a bit like a compliment sandwich, isn't it? It's like, they're great and they're fucked. Hello, thanks for having me.
I'm also joined by a bonkers backflipper and casino brawler who has the body of a stripper and couldn't be taller. It's Titus Thunder Bastard Caligarvi.
Very true to real life, that one. Hello.
Many a time have I seen you get up on a pole in a nightclub, but
You know it.
not the body of Titus. Let's just say if people did
quite.
go on Twitter or Instagram and see you wouldn't look much like Titus, would you?
No.
God, you're on the attack today, Ollie. It's like if they looked
the
at you on
shade
Twitter,
he's
they'd
throwing.
be disappointed.
I'm the
think-
DM. I get to build up and destroy you guys. So that's.
I
what
think
happens.
this is built up agony, us ruining half of the things he's planned for us over the last few weeks.
Release the shark will never leave.
Oh
my
my
mind.
God.
It's not even just Release the Shark. I was listening back and there are so many moments where our commitment to a humorous bit, you can just hear your frustration because we don't let it drop. We don't do things by halves. We really go for it.
No, you don't. But that's the fun of Dice with Death and the podcast that we're all putting together. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, what the hell is No Dice? Well, it's the podcast after the podcast, really. It's a listener's digest, if you will, a look back on everything that you guys have done in these episodes so far, and maybe a look ahead to what's to come from the first ever Dice with Death campaign. How are you all feeling? You know, embodying a character that until a few months ago was just an idea on a piece of paper.
I'm really enjoying it at the moment.
That's
Guys,
great that you said at the moment, by the way.
At the moment,
because
yeah,
could
it could easily turn to shit. I'm not sure. But I think like it's really interesting, isn't it, when you think about how you approach building this character. And I don't know how the other guys have done it. I just looked at like the player's handbook and stuff and just thought, what is the coolest fucking character I can make? Yeah, I'm really enjoying it, actually. I quite like him as a character, and I am seeing bits of like my grumpiness and being a dad and that sort of stuff. It's very much in that character.
Just like to point out, Jamie said, what's the coolest character I can have? His character shit himself in the first episode. Whilst trying to flex out of some chains.
You'll do it again as well. You'll do it again. Yeah, well, because I was building him, and I thought, what is going to make the most interesting character? Because I'm very much into my stats and min-maxing. I'm very slow maths, as you can like the amount of edits I've had to do with me adding up things. So if you ever hear like a really, really long pause, that's still really heavily edited for me. I really like to kind of build the stats around the character, and I rolled really well when I made him, so I was really happy. And I think as he levels up as a character, he is going to be really, really powerful. So I'm very excited.
Jamie, you and myself have a little more experience at playing D&D compared to Amy and Adam. What's that been like for you guys to actually flesh out a character and go, I'm going to embody this person and go on an adventure with that character? What's that been like for the both of you?
I think it's because I've only ever really done sort of one shots before, so those characters feel kind of discardable in some way. You know, you sort of, if anything, I've almost, I guess, done them up in a more hyperbolic way previously because I've wanted to be daft and silly for whatever reason, or I've wanted to like try out a spell or try out a new race or whatever. Whereas with Zakaiya, I kind of wanted a character that I liked and I was comfortable in their skin and I could identify with their vulnerabilities and also go a little bit insane with them in parts and, you know, electrify 40 odd guards in one go, things that I don't do on a standard Tuesday, contrary to popular belief. So I think it's things like that it's having their reactions coming naturally to you, which I think is
Yeah.
something that in the very first episode I was, as much as we had great fun doing it, and I still think Big Squid Energy is probably my favourite, I found that I was almost having to second guess what this person would do, whereas now it feels as though I'm quite comfortably able to slip into that person when I'm thinking about what decisions they'd make, what they do, without it feeling too hammed up or kind of, I suppose, false in itself. It's not over dramatic. It just fits what that character would be doing and what they'd be thinking based on their experience. And for a while, it was quite tough. I kept forgetting the names of the parents that I'd made, stuff like that. But yeah, what about you, Adam?
No, I think you're right. I think like you say, embodying the character. Like I've played a campaign with you guys before, but I think that I've always, when we were playing that, it was always like a means to an end. Like, what is the goal of this campaign? What is what is today's mission? What are we doing here? Sort of thing. Not, what's the backstory to this character? What's his hopes, dreams, etc. But from the moment we started crafting these characters, and I had a separate call just to run stuff by Ollie to make sure I'd done it right and stuff, and really started fleshing that out. It's been great. And the opposite to Jamie, obviously, I kept mine relatively simplistic when it comes to stats. I got really lucky with the roles that I did when I was sorting all that out. But my character, he's not going to cast spells and stuff like that, so I don't have to worry about that side of things, or at least not yet. So then I got the chance, to really sort of envisage what you do in certain scenarios and just have a load of fun with it. I'm sure we could have done a very dry, Amy talks about the first episode. I just re-listened to that today, and it could have been so right, okay, what's the mission? We've got to get to the escape pods. Okay, so we've got to go up these stairs and we've got to sneak and it would have been really straightforward, but there's no fun in that sort of thing. So I've really enjoyed everything from, backflips, headbutting doors off, all sorts of stuff that comes naturally to me, obviously. But then also when you get to some of the other stuff that we've done with dream sequences or, flashbacks or whatever, there's been times when we were recording this and we're obviously just on a big screen looking at each other, but there's been times when, even necessarily when it's not been my flashback, I've just shut my eyes so I can really envisage it. But certainly when you were talking about walking to the ring, I knew exactly what that would look like if it was in some sort of movie or something. So it's not just oh, okay, I'm going to roll to see what happens. I can see myself, hopping up onto the ring apron, or I got such a kick out of cutting the promo at the top of the ramp, for example. Because obviously with my job, it's something I watch people do on a weekly basis. And it's something I've always wanted to do. And I'm never going to do that in real life, but living vicariously through Titus, who introduces himself 4 times, I really like on the first episode. Amy's who are you again? And I'm I am Titus Thunder Bastard Caligarvi. She's just Titus would have done, brother. But honestly, I wanted to ask, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here, but Jamie, your character Aark, I'd love to know, you're this wise old head. What's your first impressions of us? Because like Ollie said, my character just rips all the chains off the headbutt's door and then is so competitive. He's well, I better do a backflip because she did a backflip up the stairs. Meanwhile, you've got Amy going, well, I'm pretty nimble. I'm just going to, oh, bollocks, I've tripped over and oh, God, I bit my own lip. I was trying to escape from this sucker. I can't imagine what Aark's first impressions of these people. And especially when you then take that into account with what Aark has been through, the harrowing story we've heard about your family, the army side of things and what have you. And he's really? I've got to take these two with me on this bloody journey. Okay, this is what I'm stuck with.
I don't think Aark is particularly a great soldier or great person in the army. I personally think that he got to his position because of his wife. And I don't think he's particularly the most intelligent officer. And, he's not the best. He's not the best in battle. I don't think Aark is particularly happy as he is. And I think he's secretly very happy to find some people who will spend time with him because he hasn't had that for a while. So I think he quite enjoys it, really.
Sorry, just quickly, Amy. I've not got my notes here. Just remind us again how your character lost their arm. Sorry.
Go fuck yourself.
One of these days, I'm going to find this out.
Do you know the funny thing about that? Actually, we'll come to that in just a second, because actually I've got a point on that. But yeah, so I think actually it's nice to hear sort of actually from Jamie just how he's almost thinking independently of Aark in a way. Like, he's been playing as Aark for like 4 episodes, but he's actually just discovering that he maybe isn't quite as heroic as maybe, you know, he wants to think that he is. You know, you're almost uncovering a little bit of an insecurity. But I actually was going to say, based off of what Adam said about the fact that Aark sometimes looks at me and Titus like almost showing off like to each other, the amount of times that Titus goes to do something and injures himself. I'm pretty sure Titus has been injured more by himself than any enemy we've encountered.
I distinctly remember us having that chat, and I'm not even sure if it's on like session 0 or even if it's just a chat we did before we started all this. And we're sort of laughing and joking and go easy on us, Ollie. And, oh, God, imagine if one of our characters died in the first episode. It's the bit where you've tried everything. Like the bit where I've done that backflip, nailed it. I think I got a nat 20 on it. Aark's pointing with his beak going, we need to get to the escape pods. They're literally just there. And I got like a 2 or something. And then, like, I forgot, because it's been so long since we recorded, I forgot just how many times and different ways, how many chances I had to get out of that. It was like, roll, okay, failed, you know, a 2 or whatever. All right, well, I'll give you this, and you roll again. Okay, roll again. 3, 7 or whatever. And then the one time I roll above a 10 or one time I roll in double figures, it's the one time I shouldn't, because all I have to do is get 14 or less, I believe, and Jamie would just control me and job done, like, you know, no harm, no foul. And I get a 15, and then I think I roll another decent number again, but only in terms of organizing what order we fight in. And then I took like 12 hit points because I get shanked by about 4 blokes going, all right, that backflip was pretty cool, but you're still breaking out of the ship. And like, I was suddenly like looking at my thing, and obviously we've played different campaigns, and I played with a different character that, understandably for that sort of scenario, is more leveled up. And I was like, oh shit, I'm on 3 HP.
It's a real shock to the system when you get stabbed or you get hurt at level 1, and the DM rolls the dice, and you go, so that's 12 damage to you, and you go, I've got 13 HP. I'm on what? What?
I think people don't appreciate, like, so the early levels of D&D, like the tier 1 levels, so between 1 to 4, are the most dangerous levels for your characters. Like, this is where we don't have the spells or the things that we need to get through a lot of situations, and we have no hit points. So this point in time is the most dangerous point of time. When you get to past level 5, like, it kind of becomes a bit more into kind of our kind of ballpark, and we can do more cool stuff and fuck over the DM a bit more. But like these early bits are really, really difficult in kind of like playing the character. I also want to say as well, you mentioned it, like you two, I think Aark very much sees you as his kids. Like, I think it's got to this level.
Exactly. Yeah, like, exactly.
He misses his family so much. I think you guys kind of fill that role for him in a really weird way, that he can be the dad again.
Because that's something that I've loved. Like, it's one thing designing your own character and kind of like finding out more about them and sort of taking them for a spin and working out how they're going to react to certain situations. But it's another thing completely to work out how they're going to react to people. And I think that's the biggest thrill for me going in, is that obviously I didn't know what your characters were and who you guys were. And I was so keen to find out more about you and your backstories, but also that cocktail of like, you can't predict how those people are going to act when they're all thrown together. You don't know what dynamics are going to emerge. You can't actually write that just kind of happens like in the flux of the whole episode.
Hence,
and I think,
release the shark.
Hence release the shark. Exactly. And I do think me and Titus are kind of like sort of siblings that almost try and like show off and outdo each other. And then you've just got Aark in the background who's just kind of like, like notably sighing at the fact that a backflip's occurred or someone's bitten a tentacle or someone's got stuck, and that's just in the first episode. But yeah, his reactions are fatherly. We also look to him quite a lot. There are lots of moments I sort of realised listening back that Titus and I are kind of like, yeah, cool, what we do? What do we do, Aark? Roll an insight check.
Yeah. I thought you say about learning about other people though. Like I think when we did like the dream sequences, and I know mine was relatively short just because of the way that I rolled. And I think I just found it fascinating. I think if you'd have told me you're going to sit there for like 20, 30, 40 minutes and just hear some other person's story being told, I'd be like, oh, it's kind of pointless being on here. But I was so gripped to find out all the like, not even to like get an edge or find out how Amy's character lost her arm, but just to know more about them. It was so fascinating to just sit there and go through these bloody ordeals, like Jamie's ordeal. I was like, oh, thank God that's the end of the episode after that.
Yeah, Jamie's fever dream was one of the most intense moments.
Also, I want to give credit very quickly to the variety of voices you've already used. For the different characters. Like, again, I'm just
who's
bringing back to
everyone's
episode.
favourite?
I really like the Cockney. What did you say? Bird brain? Like that one, really gets me.
That's good. That's a good one.
That was me channeling Phil Daniels. Like it's such a Phil Daniels Cockney voice, park life and all that stuff. Rudely awoken by the dustman, But I just immediately went to planning out these sessions. I kind of think, okay, big characters have to have big accents or a way that they speak, so whenever they come back and forth throughout the episodes, we recognize them. We know exactly who they are by the intonation of their voice. Just like Squiddy, when I go, oh, hi guys, that's Squiddy immediately.
Squiddy's my fave.
But those prisoners, it was just like, oh, what's a prisoner voice? Let's go Cockney, nice one, But sorry, you guys were talking about favourite accents of mine. You want to pay me some compliments, maybe?
I really liked the Captain of the Guard. That's a really great accent. That was really, I really like that Captain of the Guard. That was great.
Again,
I really like my Bristolian parents. Hello, my love.
Brenna and Lothrim. Well, for those listening to this podcast who probably can't tell, I am a southerner and I'm surrounded on this podcast by people from the Midlands and further above. So when I say Titus Thunder Bastard Caligarvi, it sounds way too posh. But I am from the southwest, so that Cornish kind of Devon sounding voice that comes so naturally for me hearing like adults talk like that. So giving you, Zakaiya, your parents, like you're a half elf, you're so rare, and you chose your character voice, which is essentially your voice, a little turned up and a little turned down sometimes. But to be in this situation where you are not with your own kind just calls for a different kind of voice, doesn't it? To set apart where you are in this forest, in this country bumpkin-esque kind of part of the world. It's a great accent to do, and I will be doing it a lot more, I think.
I'm really envious that you can do them, because I feel like part of the reason that I don't think any of us have gone for the voices is that we almost want to be able to still take each other seriously. And I think I don't know if I would. Maybe the next campaign, if I did a different character, I'd maybe give it a go. But I feel like I'm better just to like stick to my own baseline and go up and down a bit than like try something crazy. I'm shit at accents. So kudos to you, Ollie, for doing so well with him.
Oh, thanks, mate. It's given me a reason to do all the voices that I've ever done since I was a kid and no one ever laughed, and now I get to do them in front of you three who might not laugh and might just enjoy it because I get to do it now in a storytelling kind of guise. But there you go.
There was one that really made me laugh. I think we had a conversation about it on the day that was very like Bob Mortimer-esque. It sounded like one of his Atletico Mints characters. And I can't remember what it was, but we were absolutely dying because it sounded like, it wasn't like Harry Kane.
I'll tell you who it is. It's Elmin Munro, who is Titus's 10-year-long manager, who, as we... Actually, I don't think if podcast listeners know this, but has up and vanished since you were last arrested.
I haven't seen him since I got arrested, no.
I caught that when I re-listened to, and we'll get there in a moment, but I appreciate we're jumping around a little bit, but episode 3, where we get accosted by Aura Scalesguard of the mer people, and they kind of come down and ask, if we're with the Solar Navy. I actually didn't catch that when we recorded it, but on re-listen, she reels off the crimes of each person in the party, and she does say, your manager, Titus, missing, presumed dead, no less. And I was like, oh, because I didn't hear that the first time.
It's a nice bit of intrigue written into the story for you all, because those divisive characters that will be throughout this campaign give you guys a little bit of a reason early on to start talking to each other. Because initially, when we start the first episode and you're all like, right, what are the rules? What do I roll? Can I do this? Can I do that? When we get into all of that and you're more relaxed with it, then you're more likely to have those conversations between yourselves and go, oh, so how did you lose your arm? And all that stuff, So those divisive characters just help you guys start communicating.
Before we move past, I know we're not really doing this in chronological order, but before we move past episode 1, I really wanted to ask you, having listened back to it today, what would have happened with Squiddy if things that had happened didn't happen, i.e. if Amy didn't use the spell, or also when she rolled, you didn't roll so well either?
Squiddy came about because Amy threw me an absolute fucking curveball. And because I completely forgot you were a druid for like the first 5 minutes of playing, and then going, yeah, this is a creature, right? Can I speak with it? I cast speak with animals, and I go, oh, fuck, now I've got to give this thing a voice and he was just a name. He was just meant to be this thing that was attacking the ship, which would get you guys in a frenzied panic to go, we've got to get out of here. So in terms of what would have happened, Squiddy probably wouldn't be a thing right now if Amy hadn't have done that. You guys wouldn't be Squiddy and the Humanoids, which is the worst thing. Collectively, you would not be Squiddy and the Humanoids, which would be such a shame. But thanks to Amy for thinking on her feet and going, oh, what spells have I got? What can I actually do? Oh, I can talk to this thing. Let's do it. And me being a stupid DM and completely forgetting that that's a thing in D&D. Oh, yeah, you can just talk to animals, and then I have to make up some shitty name and come up with a personality. But it seems to have turned out for the good.
The name Squiddy for an octopus.
Yes.
I will never get past that.
Yes.
It baffled me even listening back. I was like, there must be some sort of logical reason why we went for Squiddy for an octopus. Maybe like he said squid halfway through or got it wrong. Not from moment one. He's tentacle, octopus, octopi, tentacle, octopus.
Yeah.
And the name is Squiddy!
You can tell for a moment his brain sort of like went to Octopussy and was like, no. Squiddy.
Well, who knows? You guys might meet a squid called Octopussy later in the campaign. Who knows?
Talking of talking with animals, though, you, I think, were quite clever in that because you tied that into the whole thing with Squiddy being angry about the merfolk treaty, the fact that they'd broken the treaty. So even though Squiddy could have ended up, had we not have decided to speak to him, just a mindless mollusk that was fighting us, we ended up giving him a bit of character context in a way, because that then played into when we met the merfolk and they were like, yeah, the Solar Navy are breaking all these treaties and stuff, and it became more of a civil war. It actually gave things a bit of context. Unlike in episode 2 when I tried to speak to the shark, then the angler shark, and he just went and that was Ollie's way of being like, not twice, Mallett, not twice.
I think though it's such a good example of Ollie being a really good DM, because you can, in that situation, you can so easily like railroad people.
Stop it!
I know.
Stop.
Like,
now carry on. Carry on.
Okay. I like it's so easy to railroad people into like situations that you've not planned for. So like if you've not planned for something, it's easy to say, oh, it's not got the intelligence, it can't speak. Like, that's something you could easily do as a DM. And I think he's a really good DM who can roll with these kind of punches and do really fun stuff with it. So well done, mate. Really good. You must have this as well, Ollie. You must have had so much stuff prepared. And then we've done something that means that you have all these pages of notes that just go out of the window. Has that happened yet?
Honestly, for this campaign, that has not happened yet. I was talking to you before we started recording, Jamie, and I was saying that you guys actually should be way farther ahead by now. But because of writing for a performative D&D setting where you don't quite know how things are going to go. You don't know if people are going to start shouting, release the shark, and spend half an hour saying, release the shark. You think that, you guys should be out of this facility by now. So in terms of that, I've written a lot of stuff, but it's just come later. Sneaky DM trick. If you don't get to use something in an episode, reuse it later. If you write a bunch of stuff and you want to use it. It doesn't have to be in that setting. That's a little DM tip for you there from me.
Ollie's DM tips.
Have you two
Brought
played
to
a lot
you
of
by...
games?
Can we get this part of the podcast sponsored? Ollie's DM tips. Sponsored by DFS. The sale is always on.
You two have played a lot of games, like you say, whether it be like amongst friends or doing other sorts of games in public or whatever. Have you two ever had any experience like what happened with Amy and that? What was it she cast? Like some electric thunderbolt or something? Any experience of anything like that happening where every single one, like I was trying to Google before we came on here, what are the odds of like tossing a coin 30 times and it being heads? And obviously you think, well, it's everything's kind of 50-50. And if I don't know what the rules were for that one, but if it was like anything above a 10 is a pass and they all failed, it's still only 50-50. But just so consistently, like rolling even 2 dice at a time at the halfway point, like you switch to, and they just all fails.
I honestly thought you were fucking with me when I came back from the loo. I thought you were all all in on it. And
well, you came back, didn't you? You came back from your toilet break, and I was just going, oh, Amy, and you were like, oh no, has it all gone to shit? And we were like, the complete opposite. Here's what happened: 30 failed Constitution saves. And Jamie, you did do some maths on this, didn't you?
Yeah, you did look at the stats, didn't you, of that?
I did, yeah. Unfortunately, it's all mutually exclusive. So we were going like, oh, it's going to be massive odds. Yeah, no, if it's like Adam says, like flipping a coin, it's still 50-50.
It's 50-50.
So sorry, everyone, to take that. But when the episode happened, I was like, oh my God, yeah, let me work out the odds. It's 50-50 still, so...
What an amazing moment, though,
yes.
to come back from a toilet break and realise that you have electrocuted 30 guards. Because when you turned around and said you were going to fight, I went, she's dead. She's dead, and she's dead, and she's going to have to roll a new character for episode 2 already. I thought there is no way that, why did I in my head, I'm going, why did I make 30 guards come up? Why have they all got really sharp spears and some of them have got crossbows? And then you just devastated them. It's crazy how a spell can do what it did and create such drama for you, because at the same time you've got Aark ushering away Titus towards the escape pod, who is still stuck in his mind about this backflip, while you go, well, they're okay, I'm going to turn around and fight. It's like in D&D, you do not split the party. You don't do that. No. You don't go and stand up to
don't be a hero.
30 guards. Don't be a hero. I mean, everybody wants to be a hero, but you don't be a hero at level 1 so early on. So kudos to you for going, this is really fun. I'm going to turn around and electrify people. Let's go for it.
I'm going to go for a slash, as you were. Yeah, no, it was actually thinking about it. Yeah, it was just one of those split-second things where Titus was in a trance. So, there was do you know what? I kind of figured he would die. I didn't think he would, but I was kind of like, because there was a moment where he had like 2 HP, and we were trying to drag him. Jamie was getting like, I guess Aark was obviously kind of very over it at this point. I feel like he'd seen me bite my own lip. He'd seen the backflip. He'd seen a lot of shit from us. And this was when we were his children, and he was just kind of like, oh my God, just get in the escape pod, please. I'm so over it. And it was just a split second of like, well, I'll give it a go, because I can probably still run to the escape pod if I need to, whereas the other two can't really fight. I'm pretty sure there was a scenario where Aark picked up Titus, or Titus carried Aark or something.
We did both, yeah.
Yeah, you had to do the old switcheroo, because...
It turned into a dad ushering along his little boy, like holding his hand going, come on, son. And then Titus going, being the son, no, Dad, I'll carry you. Towards this escape pod. What in your mind, Adam, made you... What is it about your character that you went, well, I'd obviously do a backflip now?
I think, when you and I were like separately talking about it and crafting it, which I think really helped me, outside of, rather than just coming in quite cold to it all. And I thought about like, I love I haven't really lent on it more than on really on the first episode that I can remember. I love the idea that he's 7 foot, whatever, 7.5 foot tall. And he still thinks, in another life, I'd have been a sneaky little rogue. Like, no, you wouldn't. You're fucking Goliath. Look at you. You stand out. Like, I love it.
7.5 feet tall, 300 pounds, like, and actually in an episode, didn't you get a nat 20 on stealth at some point, or like?
Yeah, so that's around that time. So we're going up the flight of stairs to get to the escape pods. Jamie and I both roll pretty well. Amy rolls not great, just makes loads of noise. And then to get out of that, roll. I can't remember what you do exactly, but you backflip basically up to where we are, and we're like, "Can you fucking shut up? We're trying to get off this ship," sort of thing. And I just love the idea that my character got his nose a little bit put out of joint by that. He's a little bit competitive, and he's like, "Look, I'm a professional wrestler. I can't have my honor besmirched like that." So I also liked I just thought it was really funny that in the midst of, like, imagine that in like a film, like The Great Escape, and they're like, "Okay, yeah, but first check this out." Perfect backflip. And then I really like the fact that Ollie like turned that on a dime of like, these guards have noticed these people escaping, but they're still impressed enough to go, "All right, yeah, that was cool, but we still need to seize those guys. Maybe we can get him to do it again for us." But I really like that, and it's something that we had fun with, or something that I enjoyed when we first started playing D&D. Like the headbutting of a door was kind of my what's the term that I'm thinking of here?
Is that your moniker? Is that what?
Yeah, that's my signature move. It's just the headbutting doors. But now I just love the fact that the fact that it played back into it, that it was so good that it nearly killed my character.
There was a moment, one of my favorite Aark moments as well. Like, we talk about us being like competitive kids of Aark.
Yeah.
There's that moment where when I did fail that stealth check to go up those stairs, and I was really noisy, I managed to get up there, and then I can't remember his exact phrasing, but Aark just went, "What was the problem?" As if to be like, you got 2 legs, like your little, what was the problem? Like, it was almost like he was expecting me, like when a manager goes to you and they're like, "So do you want to talk me through what happened there? Like, what went wrong?" And I'm just like, "Oh, I don't know."
Your manager, being Aark, helped you out by casting Fog Cloud, and then went, "Was it so difficult? Was it really so difficult?"
Yeah. Should we just have a closer look at that? What went wrong there? Can you tell me?
What can you learn differently for next time, please, Amy?
I think the standout moment for me is in the latest episode, actually, and it is around our backstories. We know our own backstories. We don't know each other's backstories, and we don't know how they connect. So that last episode where like Aark and Zakaiya's stories were really interlinked, it was a shock to both of us. And it was like, when I was doing my bit, it clicked that I'm gonna really mess up this gnome community. I'm not gonna be able to stop it. And that was like such a really weird feeling. I was like, oh my, I felt proper sad about it because I knew it was coming. And even though like we just started off, we found the plane walker, and then we went testing, and it was when I finally realised something was going to happen. It's when one of the men on the Stones of Far Speech just went, "Gnomes spotted in the vicinity," and that was the moment I was like, "Oh my god, it's the forest gnomes."
That was incredible. Like, that was extreme. Because I think this is the thing. We often have the highlights as like the kind of the buggering about, the moments where we try something cool, and this is, again, Ollie being such a flexible DM and kind of thinking on his feet. Like, in the second episode, we melted a frozen ship with a coffee machine, like with a Starbucks machine. Like, things like that you wouldn't get in a standard game. But what I love about I guess what we've got going on with Dice with Death is that we actually don't sacrifice those real heartfelt, like tingling up the spine moments at the sacrifice of a bit of comedy here and there. Like it's still daft, it's still inventive. But I was absolutely got shivers. And the thing is, I don't know whether Jamie could even see my face because we were on Zoom at this point. But like when that guy said that comment, it hit me as well. And suddenly I was like, oh shit, like this is where Aark's path directly kind of, coincides and collides with my own, and this is what's going to happen to my community, this is what's going to happen to my family. And this carefully crafted emotional backstory was suddenly tied to someone that I've become friends with and considered like a close companion. And now obviously all these thoughts going through my head, like how am I going to react to Aark now that I kind of know that, or when I figure that out, like how is Zakaiya going to treat him, because will she see him as almost responsible, like is he on the bad team in her eyes? Like that was insane. I was so impressed with how that came together, and I was shocked, just like absolutely blown away by that whole scene on the craft where Aark effectively stands up and refuses to obliterate the community.
That speech, man, that speech gave me tingles when you did that speech, because you've had a speech like that before in your nightmarish flashback where your family are all getting pulled under by ink, and like your love for your family really shines through in just going after this demonic force that is trying to take them away from you. And that feeling really came out in episode 4 with that speech in front of Field Marshal Aves, who is the leader, an absolute prick, but the leader of your Aark Cochrane clan, all with your wife in the same room, Colonel Elec. Like what goes through your head before you actually go, this is what I want to say, and this is how I feel? Like what brings you to that point of going, this is my defining moment in my military career?
So I don't know if you got it actually, because it was something that you said, and it was Abe said something like, "Do you want me to get your wife over here to fight this?" And that was the moment Aark. Well, that's when I thought Aark needs to destroy that controller, because he doesn't want his wife to be the person that fires that weapon. And it's kind of a different way to look at it now. Maybe he's not as heroic. Maybe he's just still trying to protect his family. And I don't know, I was feeling quite emotional about it, really, because I knew the consequences were going to be really, really horrible. And I knew that there was this connection. So I was feeling quite emotional. But yeah, I don't know where it came from, really. I think I felt really clever as a DM going into that situation, knowing exactly what you would do. Like, I didn't know that you would pull out a short sword and plunge it into the controls, but defy the leader of your Aark Cochrane clan. But I knew, as your character, from having built it with you and spoke to you about it, that is not something that you were going to do. So
is that quite rewarding for you as well, Ollie? Because like sometimes you're almost getting a bit of a story you don't know, because not only are you, I mean, obviously sometimes for a DM I imagine it probably feels like you've got this omniscience and you're the one guiding the narrative, but actually the fact that you didn't know that Aark would react exactly like that, although you knew he was going to defy his commander, was that something that kind of was, entertaining for you as well? Because you're seeing something unfold that you had no idea would take place.
Oh my God, so much. Like from the first episode where you decided to speak to a squid, I was like, this is the game that I want to DM. This is the shit that I want to be a part of. So putting you guys, my job is to get you guys into some kind of narrative that you enjoy and like coming back to play. And then it's your job to take it wherever you want to, and me to go, cool, this is great. How would we get on a starship and go into space and all that stuff? That's the fun that I get to have, I guess, from you guys just titting about. But the satisfaction I get from being a DM and actually DMing you guys is knowing that if I throw something heartwarming and, pulling at heartstrings, that you guys are going to take it semi-seriously in terms of finding out details and stuff. But you could quite easily break a coffee machine and melt all the ice on side an escape pod or do a backflip. So, yeah, it's satisfaction comes in the form of you guys just doing what you want to do and having fun with it, and then me going, how do I make this into a very cool story?
That's all well and good. I still don't fucking trust you. That's why I pumped the brakes so much on releasing the shot, because I was like, right, well, we need to dispose of this, but then I also don't want to draw loads of it. We're going to ship filled with people. And Squiddy just comes along and goes, what's that? Release the shot? No bother. Boom. And then all the alarms are going off, and we have to just go. We got like times going on before we have to set the bomb off, and like any time we enter a new arena, and I'm not expecting you to turn around and go, oh, and there's 1 million people there, and they've all got spears, and they all stab you at the same time, or whatever. Like, you can't mess about here. You make one wrong move, and one of your party's dead, and then you have to bring them back, and then bollocks, it's the enemy's turn again, or whatever. Like, you guys have
got to have stakes. You've got to have stakes. The podcast is called Dice with Death. There is no way in hell that I would get away with, taking you on a lovely adventure and, a goblin hits you for 1 damage and then you kill it and tear it apart. Like, there's got to be consequences. You nearly dying on the ship escaping when you were like meters away from the escape pod. Those are stakes. All of you guys at the end of episode 4 being in front of this gigantic robotic lizard that you are all connected to but don't quite know how yet. Those are stakes.
Having because my character and backstory, I kind of know that the stats of the Planewalker, and we are fucked. Like, genuinely, it is
that's a nice
very,
little future
very
sight
powerful.
Yeah.
Peek behind the screen. I had a little conversation with Jamie the other day. Jamie has, as his character Aark, has tested this thing out at sea. He knows its capabilities, so he's going to have to know these stats. But as a device, that also gives me an idea to go, hey, Jamie, you should look at these stats and you should listen to your wife's voice when she said run. Like, that's just the little prompt I think that you guys maybe needed. So I think, just give that to Jamie and see what happens.
Great.
You could turn and face it and we'll see what happens. But hey, it's up to you.
Could
what happens if it gets headbutted?
Yeah.
That was my secret weakness.
I'm allergic to headbutts. That's great. Yeah, that's good. That's actually quite interesting that Aark knows the stats of it already. Oh my god, how scary is scary, Jamie?
It's really scary, actually. I regret healing the party. That's how bad it is, because I think I need the spell slots to bring people back. I've only got 1 spell slot left, so that's it. So I've got 1 heal left, and then I'm done for heals.
I'd also like to take a minute to say, is there anything so far that we've identified? Because obviously we're sort of looking slightly ahead now at like the Planeswalker and some of the mysteries that await us. Are there any unanswered questions that we've all kind of thought about? Because one of the ones that really stuck out to me was Aura Scalesguard in episode 3, where she approaches our ship and kind of like reels off all of our crimes. There's that moment where she takes her hand off of the button and says something to all of her men, and they all look absolutely like really shocked and like and like aghast. And obviously Ollie even said, like, if you want to have a go at lip reading, knock yourself out. But nobody did, so we have no idea what she said. That's something that's still playing on my mind.
I want to know what caused the dreams, because there was something that caused it, because I cast Turn Undead, and whatever this thing was affected by it. So there was physically something messing with our heads. So that's interesting to me. Also, what is that logo on the shells? When around the Planewalker, there's like the special kind of like insignia on them. I want to see what are the messages Volok has on his phone. Like, there could be something there.
I have to say, I felt very guilty when we went from me fighting to be the face of this machine to it destroying families, and you being honourable and like smashing the thing up, and I'm like, Well, if anyone's going to have their name associated with that, it's going to be Titus Thunder Bastard Caligarvi.
Thousands dead. Yeah.
But what a link for all you guys to share is like you unassumedly get out of a contract with a massive military tech company, and your face could have been the face that all those gnomes saw before they perished, you know?
Sorry, that shouldn't be funny, but it's just coming over on a blimp.
There's a wrestler in real life who uses the catchphrase "the face that runs the place." Mine is the face that destroys the place by the looks of things.
But luckily, you managed to spear Volok in the casino meeting room, and well, actually, you don't quite know any more of that backstory just yet. No. But we can develop that as we go.
I think doing a performative D&D podcast is different to running a normal game because. Rolling a dice, it's important, but it's like nobody wants to hear people doing complicated maths on a podcast. Unless you do, then I'm sure there's a complicated maths podcast you can listen to.
Yeah, we're the wrong podcast for you.
It's run by Big Shack with his quick maths.
Oh, that's an episode, wasn't it? When Amy goes, I got an 18 plus 1, that's 18.
18. Just this silence.
There was silence, then me. Sorry, that was 18
Just
plus
to clarify,
1. 18.
Although I'm in no position to talk because when you go, like, I go, what do I need to do here? You need a 6-sided die. Which one's the 6? Oh, it's the dice. Yeah, it's an actual dice, you idiot.
And I think like it's really like rolling a dice. I think for us is kind of important because it's the key stake moment, isn't it? Is if you do something really well or really really badly. But I think generally, just in this sort of environment, I don't think rolling everything really works.
No.
And I think if you want a podcast where everything is rolled for, I don't think it fits what we're trying to do. I think we're trying to more of a more free flowing kind of experience. I think
it's performative. If part of the performance is rolling dice, it's so boring. Like being around a table rolling dice with people like face to face is really great because you all get to share in that dice roll. Whether it's people listening, they just want to hear what you got. They just want to hear what you got, and if you succeeded or if you failed, and if you critically succeeded or critically failed. Just like the critical luck check that Amy got for severing that elevator cable and sending that guard to his death at the bottom. Like, those are the moments that we want to see, rather than, okay, so I'm going to roll 2d8s here and there. Right, so that's carry the 1, and then, oh no, but mine's a minus, so actually, like, that's the chat that we get, and we don't want that.
What is going to be the next big thing for your characters, what you're thinking about? So having done what we've done and what we've experienced, now kind of flashbacks and all that sort of stuff, what is the most exciting thing you're looking to explore? And I can frame that if you want, because for me, it's the interaction between me and Zakaiya. If Zakaiya finds out that we fired the Planewalker, or the other way around. So I'm really interested to find that kind of dynamic. What will happen? Like, will Aark lie to Zakaiya? He might do. You just don't know. You really don't. That's what I'm really excited to kind of explore.
I'm exactly the same. Like,
Yes.
that to me is like the biggest thrill, is that, like, I think that bombshell being dropped about how our stories interconnect at the end proper got to me, and now I'm rethinking like this real close friendship that started to form. Like, how is that going to change that, and how is that going to will he could not tell her the truth, like, you know, it could go a million ways, and I'm really excited to see how that goes, because so much of that isn't even on me. That's just like the improvisational part of it, isn't it? So yeah, I'm buzzing for that, and I'm kind of buzzing to see, I guess, really all three of our relationships with the Planeswalker being unraveled. That's kind of what I'm game for.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to for you guys finding out that I was involved in the marketing stage of the Death Ray. Personally, from a purely selfish point of view, there is going to come a day where it's not a flashback or a dream or anything, when I walk into a room and Volok is going to be in that room, and the straps on that singlet are coming down, the toothpick is getting hoyed in his face, and it is about to go down.
How is it like? Is it gonna be a macho one-on-one fight? Are we gonna be there as well? Like, what is the whole thing gonna be like? What would, as your character, like, what would you want? Would it be like a mano-a-mano one-on-one battle?
Is it a ring? Is it in the streets? Is it like killing
front
each
of
other?
Zalu?
Is this more than a match?
Get your tickets now to that fight. Volok versus Titus.
Talking of what's to come within the podcast, I had a very interesting day the other day where I was looking through some music just for the show. Jamie's the one who puts it all together, so very well done to Jamie for putting these edits together because they sound great.
They sound amazing, Jamie.
Thank you. It takes me fucking ages. I'll tell you that. Every time. The amount of times that you've gone, put a sound effect here. I've edited it out. Like, remember the start of the first episode where you're like, put a beat on this. I'm like, no, that's gone. That's been edited out. No beat on this one. I think I'm going to be like, just any sort of like anywhere where Ollie's describing like a beautiful, like, it's a cave and there's a beautiful waterfall in it. I'm like, are you sure? Are we not just in an empty room?
Are we not in a soundproof room? I'm sure that's what you said.
You hear me describing a beautiful
Perfect
cave.
silence.
And you guys walk into the entrance and Jamie just dubs in a door.
You cannot hear a thing. Oh, there must be some magical thing in there.
The other day I was looking through a bunch of music. This podcast is called Dice with Death. So I chose all of your character death music.
Oh no!
Oh
Wow.
my god, that's haunting as fuck.
I spent 4 hours going through death motif music, really sad strings and atmospherical kind of rhythms and stuff, and downloading stems and putting them together in like Audition and all that kind of stuff. But I have chosen each and every single one of your music motifs for when your character could possibly die. So how do you all feel about that? Stakes again?
That's made it feel so much more real in a weird way. Almost like it's inevitable, like it's something you're planning, rather than just like a possibility. Ooh.
Who, me? No, I think there's, as we've discussed before, there's a real chance that your characters could actually die. And rather than just go, you're dead. Right, roll another character and let's get, like there's got to be some poignance to it. So, yeah, your death music, your death march, as it were, has all been chosen.
I should start preparing notes now. We all should, of like the moments that flash before our eyes before we die of the events that we've had. Mine's just the backflip and that's it.
And your final words are, that was cool. No, scratch that. Your final words are, well, those guards thought it was cool, so it must be cool.
yeah. Or just misremembering the two guards that I made friends with.
Oh yeah. Say Thunder Bastard.
That was honestly one of the funniest moments of episode 3 for me. Jamsp and Mapple, and every time you said their names, just calling them something completely different. Clasp and Strapple.
Oh god.
Oh, it was great.
I think it's really interesting as well because from my character's perspective, he's an old bird and everyone takes the mick out of it. But he's very much at the end of his life.
Yeah.
So if, for example, this campaign in the game world like lasts for a year, like he's at the very end of his existence. So I think stakes are really high and really high for Aark. And the problem is I really like Aark now. I've played him for a few hours and I'm really into him. And thinking about him going makes me
becoming
sad.
someone new, yeah.
Because I think you do get attached to your character, don't you? And you think like, now we know that there's so much unresolved there. I think now that makes the stakes even worse because I don't want Aark to die without sorting things out with his missus and his kids, And I don't want Volok to reign supreme and whatever he did that obviously fucked with Titus's career and possibly his love interest and all that. Like there's a lot of stake there. I don't want these characters' deaths to be in vain now because I understand where the weight is from each of them and what they've got that they're kind of, got to live for, really.
I just want to get on with running away mainly on the next episode. Just checking my travel speed.
Yeah, we should do, really, shouldn't we? If run is our only option.
Yeah, my travel speed is 15 foot, so I am not going to do well.
You're going to have to go full Gandalf, full just sacrifice. You shall not.
I was thinking maybe the Planeswalker is like the Death Star, and there's like a tiny, weeny little weakness that's the size of a gold toothpick. What do we think?
It's the reset button, like on your iPhone.
Yeah. Beep. There you go. Hold it down for 3 seconds. We're good.
I had an image in my head of, the crazy guy in Independence Day who's like, hello, boys, I'm back. And that's Aark just flying up the arse of this bloody creature.
That's where its weak point would be as well. I thought, right at the arse. It has to be, doesn't it?
Has to be the arse, yeah.
We'll clip these bits for the soundboard.
No,
has
I
to
think
be the arse.
I think we'll end it there on has to be the arse.
Yes.
So
if you don't know you didn't know what you got from this podcast, now you know.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Up the arse. That's the motto of this podcast. So that about wraps up this episode. Thank you to my players Jamie, Amy, and Adam for taking us on a tour of what has been as we look forward to what's to come. You should follow us on Twitter and Instagram at DiceDeathPod. You can also subscribe to this podcast for all the latest adventures with Aark, Zakaiya, and Titus. What's the most important thing to do after people subscribe to us, guys? What should they do once they've subscribed?
Leave us a review.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Leave us a review, rate 5 stars, and at Jamie on his Twitter and guilt trip him about the gnomes. And how he
still going about them. We're still going about the gnomes. Okay.
Yeah. Probably could have done more to say.
You described it. You described it, Ollie. You described the genocide, not me.
Hashtag gnome remorse.
Wow! Get the sound effect in there.
And on that note, guys, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.